Okay, let's be honest, we've all seen them. Those default charts that are, well, just a blob of data. They don't really say much. But today, we're going to change that. We're giving those boring charts a complete makeover, turning them from forgettable graphics into powerful tools that actually tell a compelling story. Let's dive in. So ask yourself this. Is your chart really telling the story you want it to tell? See, a chart isn't just a picture of numbers, it's a narrative. And if it's cluttered or confusing, it might be telling the wrong one, or worse, none at all. That's why formatting is so important. This isn't just about making things look pretty, it's about making your message crystal clear. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk through a professional makeover step by step. We'll break down all the key elements and add that professional polish that takes a chart from confusing to completely undeniably clear. First things first. Just like building a house, every great chart needs a solid foundation. And for us, that foundation is built with the axes and the chart area itself. If we get this part right, trust me, everything else just falls into place. I like to think of the axes as the skeleton of your chart. You've got the horizontal x-axis, which is usually for your categories, like time or products. Then you have the vertical y-axis, which gives you the scale, the value. Getting a handle on these is the absolute first step to taking control of your data's story. And this right here, this is your command center. When you go to Format and Axis, you've basically got four main areas to play with. Axis options for the scale, tick marks for visual guides, labels for readability, and of course, number formatting for your values. This is where the magic really starts. Okay, now inside those axis options, you'll find some of the most powerful tools. You can set the bounds, that's the minimum and maximum values. Why is this cool? Because it lets you zoom in on a specific part of your data. You can also change the units to make big, clunky numbers way easier to read. These little tweaks can totally shift what your audience focuses on. All right, let's talk about the canvas itself, the chart and plot areas. Look, most of the time, a simple color fill and a clean border are all you need for clarity. But you can get creative with things like shadows or soft edges to make your chart pop in a presentation. Just remember the golden rule here. Your goal is to make the data look good, not to distract from it. With our foundation all set, it's time for the main event, the data itself. This is the heart and soul of your chart. And right now, we're going to make sure it really shines. You got it. Every single thing we do, every formatting choice is all for one reason: to make the data series, the bars, the lines, the pie slices, the undeniable hero of the story. Everything else on that chart, it's just the supporting cast. Data labels are an absolute game changer. Seriously. Instead of making people trace lines back to an axis to figure out a value, you can just slap the number right on the data point itself. You can put them inside, outside, or even use a data callout that includes the category name. This one little change adds a huge layer of precision. So our foundation is solid, our data is clear, but if you just handed that chart to someone, would they have any idea what they're looking at? Probably not. That's where the narrative context comes in. We need titles and a legend to explain the story at a glance. It really just boils down to three simple but absolutely crucial steps. Number one, give your chart a clear, descriptive title. Two, label your axes so people know what the numbers and categories actually mean. And three, make sure your legend is clear and placed somewhere smart. The whole point here is to get rid of any and all guesswork. Using the Add Chart Element menu to pop in some axis titles gives people immediate context. A simple label like Sales in Millions or Fiscal Quarters clears up any confusion and instantly makes your chart look way more professional. The legend is, quite literally, the key to understanding your chart, but if it's in a weird spot, it just adds to the clutter. So use the formatting options to move it around, put it on the top, the bottom, the side, find that sweet spot where it's easy to read but stays out of the data's way. All right, we're in the home stretch now. We've built a chart that's clear and easy to understand. Now it's time to add those final little touches of polish that take a chart from just good to great. Sometimes you need to gently guide your audience's eye to what's important. And that's where annotations like series lines come in handy. On a stacked chart like this one, they're perfect for connecting related pieces of data, maybe highlighting a trend that might otherwise get lost in all the noise. And finally, we come to a step that is so important but so often overlooked: accessibility. Because great communication should be for everyone. Adding alt text, which is just a short written description of your chart, allows screen readers to describe what's happening for users with low vision. It's such a simple step, but it makes sure your story can be understood by all. Okay, so let's run through our makeover checklist one last time. You want clear and legible axes. You want to make sure your data is the hero, give it an informative title, and label those axes. Position your legend so it's not in the way. Add a little polish to the chart area, and please, please always make it accessible with alt text. When you master these elements, you stop just showing data, and you start actually communicating an insight. That's the big difference. So the next time you have to make a chart, don't just settle for the default. Take control of it, give it that makeover, and make it work for you. Because behind every single one of those data points, there's a story waiting to be told. The only question is, what story will your next chart tell?